When the rain don't fall, that's when you know you're gonna go dry. When the rain don't fall, that's when you know you're gonna go dry. And it won't do no good to be crying out loud, babe, or cursing the sky.
Welcome to Thinking Green. I'm Rana, and in what has become kind of a yearly event, I guess, we're going to talk about the Custom House and New London Maritime Society with Director Susan Tamulevich, because every year there are updates.
Yes, and very happy to be here, Rana. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, well, you know, after elections, I always really feel much better if I spend like the next several shows talking about like what regular people are doing that makes New London great. Because sometimes it doesn't feel like the politics is what does it. It's the people who are just doing creative things in town.
And you got to keep doing it. You just got to, if everyone focuses, like they say, tend your garden. Everyone focuses on what they can do, we won't be defeated.
Well, I hope not. For the one term I was on the Board of Education, I was much younger then, but I used to go out to downtown New London a lot at night and go to bars and listen to the music because that felt like the real New London. So, you know, you walk around, you go in all these doors on the main streets, and that feels to me like it's the real New London. And of course, the Custom House has been part of this real New London for a very long time.
41 years now. Well, it goes back to 1833. But you know what you're saying, last night we had the open mic at the museum, which was so packed, I think they went until 10 o'clock. And some people didn't get on, like Pat Kennedy. He's one of the captains out there in the harbor, and he was made. So we're sorry, Pat, that you didn't make it in last night. But you know, one great thing about Christina Corcoran, who runs that, is that when you come in, you get signed up. A lot of places for open mics, they put their friends in and they slip other people in. But this is run very fairly, and people love it, and it's always packed with humans and puppets. I don't know, all kinds of surprises, and yeah, that was going on at our place last night. But on my way here, I drove down the street. Not only did I see the famous feather flag we discussed, but I saw that Talks Brewing looks like it's open.
I think it opened last Thursday night or something. Wow. It's only been open for a few days. And you know, I saw the plans. I haven't been to the brew pub yet.
Yeah.
But it was an ambitious project, and it looked like they were doing a really good job at it.
Yep, they've been working for quite a while, so that's kind of exciting. You know, it's spotty, our end of the street, and it's very nice to have a new company come in.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it will do well, and there's sort of a ripple effect because another company is moving into their old location on Broad Street, and then that building is getting a different life too. So it's getting some like new things downtown and not leaving any buildings vacant.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah. So one of these days, we'll have to go there. So I wanted to start today to talk a little bit about the things that the Maritime Society does that are not centered on Bank Street.
Yeah.
And one of the chief things has been like the lighthouses. And are there 3 lighthouses now that you're overseeing?
Yes, there are 3, and we're applying. We have, I don't know what's going on this time, but we've applied for a 4th one. And we applied because we were asked to come in by the community at Old Lyme, Old Saybrook, Connecticut River, that whole group. The family pronounces it Lined, the name, but people say Lind Point Lighthouse. There were a series of farms right at the mouth of the Connecticut River, and on the Old Saybrook side, there's quite an old lighthouse, and we have the documents about its building because the customs official, inspector, was in charge of all the area lighthouses. It's kind of a funny thing how everything sort of comes together again after everything was dispersed.
Yeah, so customs and lighthouses are working together again.
Working together again, and that lighthouse went up for adoption more than a year ago. A year ago in the summer, a couple of our members were really keen on it, and I'm always happy to take a field trip. And we went to look at it, and then the Connecticut River Conservancy group and another group, they sort of got together and they said, you know, we don't know anything. We don't about lighthouses. We don't own property, but we're very concerned, and we want to have public access and bird watching and all of these nice things on this property. And so, would you please apply? Our big rival, our friends actually, is the borough of Fenwick, and we've got a mutual letter of support that we're doing, but the borough of Fenwick is a little, I wouldn't say it's a gated community, but it's as close as you can get without the gate. And, you know, that's that. They don't know about lighthouses. They can raise a lot of money, which we can do in slow, successive steps by writing grants, and we do it with all the lighthouses. But, you know, so we have this group. They want it. They control the access. They have the money. And then you have us with the conservation group's usual kind of a, you know, pairing. And then there's another one because we thought we entered our application a year ago, Halloween. That was the deadline. And then they gave us an extension. Then they gave another extension. Now they've given another extension until December 2nd. And so Newt, the warden of the borough of Fenwick, and I were talking last week, getting our letter together, because we are going to support each other, of course. And I said, did you ask for this extension? He said, no. There's another entity lurking out there. So we don't know. We may get a 4th one. And that would be really fabulous. That would be absolutely fabulous because it's there's a big issue about access. You have to cross 2 people's property on a road that zoning never should have been private to begin with. The borough just went in and did it, and is that legal? So it might, but we land at lighthouses out in the water. So what do we care? We can go in by boat. We can do all sorts of things. There actually is a segment of the beach that goes along with it, which is where the Coast Guardsmen and lighthouse keepers of the past always went in by boat. You know, you can't be landlocked from your property.
Right.
Also, there's all kinds of laws. So I would hope if we got it that all this could be worked out amicably, and it would be a really wonderful thing because we do tell a very interesting story about the lighthouses, and that ties in with the fort's coastal defenses along the Long Island Sound, and lighthouses were a part of it. And we have the 3 wonderful lighthouses leading into our historic New London Harbor, And that in itself is a great story. But to go up towards the west would be really fun too, because there's just a lot to say about it.
It would be nice for us to connect a little bit more along the shoreline. We do have a slide to show, well, I think the first slide of the 3 lighthouses is the cake.
Yeah.
Because it shows all
Yes.
the 3 that you have right now, the
Yes.
New London Harbor Light and Ledge Light and Race Rock. And so I don't know if we can see that. And then I guess the first one I wanted to talk to you about, oh yeah, see.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
you
that's
love that? That's Susie Moda, who is down at just down the street from us at that restaurant. I don't know the name of the restaurant, but she makes all of our beautiful cakes. And
Yeah, this one is fantastic. You wouldn't know it was a cake except that I cropped out the sides of the picture.
Yeah, and she loves a challenge.
And it is kind of, interesting that the lighthouses all really look quite different from each other.
They're extremely different, and when we adopted them, and in fact, not more than a month ago, we had a inspection, our first inspection in 15 years by the National Park Service, and they went to see all 3 lighthouses, and they said at the time we got them that these are 3 of the best preserved lighthouses that they've given away.
Wow.
And so we're very lucky. Now, look, judging from this picture, you would say, I beg to differ.
Yes.
Ledge is a mess.
But you've been in process of, of fixing what's deteriorating in Ledge Light, correct?
Yes, Ledge Light, it's a little bit of a tricky situation. Ledge Light, the Coast Guard left in like '86. And if you go back in the day records, right, you can do that search online now, they formed something called the Ledge Light Foundation. They got $100,000 and they set themselves up to maintain the lighthouse. Now, from what I can tell, everybody had keys. They had all kinds of parties out there. And what did they do? Honestly, you look at the pictures when the Coast Guard left, and it's not in good shape. When we went to get this lighthouse, this was the 3rd lighthouse, that group didn't have a nonprofit status, and we thought we would work together. And I think the group is quite small. Whatever. There's not a lot of work has been done out there, but it's very well intentioned, the 2 guys. And they managed to get a grant, and then through the remediation for taking apart the T.A. Scott State Pier, their grant was matched, or I guess they got a grant from that. Like if you destroy a wetland, you replace a wetland someplace else. When the pier, the T.A. Scott portion was destroyed, to remediate it, the State Historic Preservation Officer had just been out to Ledge, and he said, "Oh, I know a place that could use some help." So they got $100,000, which is not nothing. And then through the Historic Preservation Grant Program through the state, they matched it the next year. So I would say since 1986, it's not been a lot done. Todd Gipstein was in there for a while, and they did clean things up and make a museum and some nice things. But then things kind of fell off again. And in truth, it was COVID and, some bad things.
And I'm thinking the location is probably tough on a building.
Yes, it is. But the problem is not the location, and not the fact. No, not that at all. The fact is, it was built 1909 at a time when similar buildings were built all over New York, and they all have the same problem. The beams, iron beams, have rusted, and pushed out the
Oh.
bricks, and they are in every side of that lighthouse. There was one horizontal beam at the top, pushed out the bricks. So much water coming in. How do you fix that? We did have an architect who devised a scheme to start keeping the water out, which is important. They went in, as you can see in that picture, the beam was all rusted. They put a support alongside it, and they've put the bricks back, and they finished the masonry last week.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's one of at least, well, you say two on each side, and then you have the verticals. So it's like a start. It's a start, and it's an important start.
Yeah, and you know what needs to be done, but I noticed going to the website, raising money towards finishing that
So-
job is one of the things you're doing right now.
Well, so this is sort of like the kind of situation you're in when you have partners. They have $200,000, and it's going to cost $225,000. It's just like two guys, Ledgelight Foundation, as far as I can tell, and they can't be responsible for that. So we've stepped up and we said, of course, you're doing this work. You got these fabulous grants. We will do it, but now. You meet everybody. Oh my God, that's my favorite lighthouse. It's every Navy guy or submarine guy says, oh, Point Alpha, that's our Point Alpha. I see that, I know I'm home. And all these people, we get grants. This year, we couldn't do any trips because of the construction, but we get, New Londoners can go out for $5. And that, the boat itself is $370, it's all very expensive. But because we get grants, we can bring people out. All right, guys, you love the lighthouse, make a contribution. I don't know, it's strangely quiet with that campaign. Now, we have another campaign for the Custom House, which I know we're not talking about today. But
well, we will. Well, we will. We actually are going to talk about it today.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's soon.
Or,
And just before we go to what you're doing with the Custom House, the Race Rock Lighthouse, what is...
Yeah, we have, and that's another, ledge light is no problem getting the ledge, frankly. You can't do it in the winter, but it's really sound. It's not like the foundation, people saw those cracks and they said, oh no, the foundation is giving way. No, it's not that at all. It is the iron inside the walls. So that's just all got to be taken out, replaced. The glass in the lantern room replaced. Some kind of a toilet facility out there has to be put in a better landing area. But basically, and then there's a lot of internal cleanup. So it's going to be quite expensive because of the water damage, and that is deferred maintenance since 1986, let's just say. And we are at the point where we're going to have to step in and do some real fundraising to get the millions of dollars to keep it from cracking. Race Rock, we have actually a $100,000 grant for that. And although it looks like nothing's going on, it looks like the railing is falling apart, it is, but we have contracted with someone to remake the railing in stainless steel this winter, January, February.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll bring it out by barge and install it all, and it'll be like the original, but it won't be painted. It won't be painted white the way it was. There's so much repair on that railing that it's you can't, I went out there and took measurements, but half of what I measured was a repair, not the original stuff, because I didn't think of it that way. I'm just not. But we're going to have it rebuilt. The other thing about that lighthouse is, of course, keeping the water out. Chimney has to be rebuilt. Gutters have to be cleaned. Leads from the gutter to take the water off And the foundation has some very deep, where the mortar has come out. I don't think any stones are going to float away because they're the size of refrigerators. There is one right where you land your boat. I don't know, it couldn't be worse, but I don't know how we're going to get out of there. But what we want is safety first. So we're replacing the railing right off the bat. We're going to try to do, I think we'll have some money left to do the worst of the grouting. And then it'll be safe. Then we're going to try to put some make a better landing facility. But then it's a matter of cleaning up, and it's quite. We actually brought, if you can believe it, Surf Pro out in October, and we did it like 12 years ago, and we did it again, and it's really nice. It's not it's in quite good shape. The building, the lighthouse, is great. It's the railing and the part that the waves hit against that needs the help.
So more to come on that. And I also have a couple, at least maybe one picture of some of the work that you have done over the last year or two on the New London Harbor Light.
Don't you love that gate?
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, the grounds are, I mean, it is not big grounds, and as we both know, access to the grounds is not really hasn't been the easiest. Yeah. But you know what's happened over the last year or two is really beautiful.
Yes, that was like I said, and if the National Park Service is watching, we might be slow, but we get the plan and we knock the jobs off one by one. So we repainted, we repointed the lighthouse, then we worked on the grounds. There is a fissure in the ledge that goes underneath the foundation of the lighthouse. I think there's it is what it is. That's where they built it. I don't think it's cracked anymore, but all the architects say, oh, we have to fix that. So we fixed that this summer. And we also put in this beautiful gate, because what were you going to put there, really? What was going to be appropriate? And we found an old photograph. In fact, the oldest photograph we have of the lighthouse that is on the Coast Guard history page. They have something about all the lighthouses. And there was a little picket fence with those small, I don't know if you call them rails or whatever, pickets. And it looks great. And we had a donor who loves that lighthouse who paid for the gate and paid for a new brochure that we put in the in a little brochure holder, so if people come and they're curious, they'll have something. The only problem is our new brochure lists our ticket web online ticketing for 2025. So if you've used that, you wouldn't be able to get a date for December. So we're just leaving it for now, and we'll put them in soon.
And I think we have a slide of that, just so people can be reminded and see the gate, because I think many people who watch this show have been to that Harbor Lighthouse, but maybe not so recently.
Oh, look, there's the lighthouse. There's the lighthouse, and there is my Harry's son, Drew. Oh. We sell these T-shirts.
Well, yes, and I partly put his picture in because his T-shirt had a picture of the Race Rock lighthouse on it.
We sell those for $25 each, and we have the 3 different lighthouses, and there are a fundraiser for the lighthouses, and it all helps. And we did this, Harold Hafel and now his son Toller Hafel built these planters where and we put in grasses. So our neighbor said she wanted a veil between us. So we did it. We got a veil, right? We did it.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
And then we put a regular fence all the way up so you can't see into the neighbors' bedrooms anymore. They have big glass doors. You used to be able to, and it was like an attractive nuisance, like those feather flags. Yeah. Right? People walking in, you see an open bedroom, you can't help but look in the window. But now everything is private, is done as beautifully as we could do. And we're really happy with it. And New Londoners, again, thanks to a grant from Chelsea Groton Foundation, can visit for just $5 a piece. And next year, for families, we're going to do that for $5 because it's even too much, for some families now. So if we get the grant again. It was the Veolia, New London Water Authority.
Oh, yeah.
And also Chelsea Groton Bank, so we could make the museum free for New Londoners, and the 2 lighthouses. It would have been Ledge. It was last year, and Harbor Light, just $5 a person.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So the one other thing that I wanted to mention that kind of takes us out of the actual custom house is your harbor cam.
Oh,
So I have one slide of, last night when I was putting these together,
Yeah.
the live harbor cam was no good. I mean, it was a nice dark and moon picture, but
Wow.
But I found another one
Yes.
that shows the
yeah.
2 lighthouses.
And the New York Yacht Club out there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's my fault completely. I am like, I was telling you, it's like bad energy, bad technological energy. Everything is not working with me. Our computers, our Facebook pages are all gone. There was a real long term until a week ago problem with the website, but that was with the company. But I even messed up Harry's computer this past week because mine died. It absolutely died. So the EarthCam people are so nice, but they don't seem to be able to send me a password. Get a new password thing, and I've tried for 2 weeks, and a little over a week, and I don't know why they can't. Everybody else has a new password, so I can work on his computer, but so at night, its home view is out to the lighthouses because we love that, and I'll tell you right now, because the leaves are down. You can look right over 2 chimneys where the Fort Trumbull is, and you can see the flash of harbor light.
Wow.
So it's kind of, I don't know. There are periods where I just can't get off the harbor cam because there's so much going on, and the boats are so weird these days and so big, and they get stuck, and
Well,
all the
now
little
with,
tugboats.
with all the windmill
Yeah.
parts, there's huge stuff. I mean, the submarines are big, but actually, getting all the windmill parts out dwarfs the subs.
And the subs, sometimes the subs come in, they get right in front of the camera, and the tugs come out, and they exchange crew, and then they go out again. They don't even, it's so interesting, and nothing I ever knew about. And another big fascination for me, which is kind of weird, is nighttime on the railroad. And the railroads, I don't know. I like to take the commuter train from where I live in Branford here, but the more I watch it, every night they're down there with the iron and the fires, and I don't know what they're doing to the tracks.
I'm not
I guess
sure.
it's okay.
Yeah.
But in the summer, it was every single night, and like I said, they had some kind of kiln operation so they could get the metal really hot. It's just it's interesting, and they were up in all the electrical things one after another, and but I'll tell you the best view I ever had, because I'm always watching the swing bridge, and you never see people there, but from Captain Scott's the other day, I saw all these people up in the tower of the spring bridge.
Oh, wow.
Like they have a crew of 4 people or something. I don't know. But it's manned all the time, and that's how people get in and out from Shaw's Cove.
Interesting.
Yeah, the boat swings out. Then there was an encampment right by the bridge for a while. There was a family of swans. All different things come and go. It's quite interesting to watch the harbor.
Yeah. It's a busier harbor than most of us imagine.
And I didn't love that restaurant because that always was our view, right, straight out. But I didn't want to be a commercial for a restaurant. So
Right.
we go this way, we go this way. But now it's not there. And I'm really looking forward to some bigger boats being able to come into the Custom House Pier, which always had all the buoys and always had the light ship relief, which there used to be a lot of light ships around here. So I'm hoping it stays clear for next summer and we can have some interesting ships right there. But also we'll be watching the Coast Guard Museum go up.
Yeah,
There's lots to focus
a lot
on.
going on. So now the Custom House building, it's been around for a long time. You started to mention, and I delayed it, but I didn't nix it, that you're doing work on your own building right now,
yeah.
or planning it for roof replacement.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is just the...
It's beautiful. It's a
It is.
beautiful building. And it's just, you can see it just vaguely in that it's a watercolor gouache pencil ink drawing by Robert Mills, who designed the Washington Monument. And he was brought in to do the Custom House because ours in particular had been burned a couple of times and all the records lost. And in those days, all the money that paid for Western expansion and military pensions, all these federal things were mostly paid by shipping, which was ships in those days, right? Not the roads, and customs duty or taxes. So this is the plan for the building. We're going to replace the roof and fix the gutters, which go inside. You notice they don't go outside. They go inside the attic and come out, which has been a source of problems. And then the platform on the top, originally there was a platform, and it was where the inspector went up, and he sat on something like a lifeguard's chair with his spyglasses. Because all the boats, Fisher's Island was ringed with little places where you could bring your boat and offload your stuff before you came into New London. So I don't think they could see all the way out to Fisher's Island, but the boats tried, they were very tricky. And
So the customs inspector had to be kind of tricky as well.
he had to keep his eyes peeled, and we have all kinds of devices for figuring out if it's a false bottom in the ship, and there's another storage area beneath it. And it's kind of fun. Unfortunately, when we had, it was a couple of years ago in December, there was one of these storms like we get now, we didn't have before, severe from the wrong direction, and it was actually the night of an open mic. It was sort of the late afternoon, and so there were a lot of people there to pull out every plastic bin and tarp we had because the water came in as it had never come into the museum before. And we had, at that point I'd been there probably 14 years, it's just a couple of years ago, and we had, as I said, in our methodical way with little grants, slowly, methodically restored the interior. It was quite great. And there was one point where we had plasterers, Marshall plastering, scaffolding through the whole main stairway. And they redid all of this, and it was all ruined. It was ruined. I mean, it didn't damage any objects in the museum, but one of my favorite rooms was the customs office because we have so much good stuff, really kind of cool, all the way up to they finally closed their office in New London during COVID because they were paying us rent every month, and that was a bit of a blow on top of COVID. I don't know. Honestly, I have to thank Alan Lyon, our treasurer. I don't know what he does that we stay in business, because it's not like we save money. If we get money, we spend it. We try to do more things. We're not bank. We might look like a bank, but we're not a bank. We try to make things lively and do things and preserve things and fix things all the time. So we don't have any store of money really. And we always have issues. And so, Alan, thank you.
And we do have a picture of the interior, and we'll talk about the different ways the interior of, well, the building itself is used as a resource in New London.
Yeah.
Here are a few.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You know, it's the top is the Lighthouse Gallery. We're always, you know, because what? I got there were no lighthouses. Now then there's one, then there's two, then there's three. And people give us like a lighthouse keeper's uniform and a model of Latimer light. You know, we get these wonderful things. And our place is so fluid that it's kind of never quite the same. And so that's our main gallery, the Lighthouse Gallery. And when you come in the front door, you look right at that bullseye Fresnel lens, which is the original lens from Ledge Lighthouse.
Wow. And
the founder of the Custom House, Lucille Showalter, she battled the Smithsonian Institution. They wanted it for their arts and technology museum, and I don't know, somehow she didn't let them take it.
Yeah, clearly she won her argument against the Smithsonian.
Yeah, she was a fighter. And so we have that beautiful room, and last night it was used for open mic, and earlier in the week we had a rehearsal dinner for a tugboat captain and his fiancée. And we had World Kindness Day in there, whatever that was, we had it. And that's Christina Corcoran does a lot of the music events. But in another week, well, on the 13th, we're having a student recital. We have lots of music teachers who like to do something special, so we just let them use the museum. And we do a lot. Oh, and tomorrow night we're having the New London Arts Council is meeting at our place. So come on over at 6 o'clock.
I knew they were meeting.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to, at this meeting, decide whether they want to be on the show next week.
Oh,
and if
okay.
they do, what they want to talk about. And I know they move their meetings around to different places. But I do have a few slides of just different ways the space is used. I know you sent me some pictures of rentals.
Yeah, this was actually my mother's birthday. That's my mother, Barbara. She was 95 in October. And we had actually those are all from her party. But we had a party for even more people on last week on Thursday night.
Yeah, so this beautiful space is available for that.
Yeah, this is Jaboom. Jaboom, we had all local speakers 2 months ago, and that was so much fun. And you learn so much about people. But last week, we had the captain of the Black Hawk in Niantic, who is Greg DeBrule, Captain Greg DeBrule, and he is quite a showman and quite a talker, and that's one thing I wrote about in we have this weekly newsletter. It's mostly, this is coming up, please visit our shop. But he made me think, because I spend a lot of time in the day archives. I do, and I love them. And in the old days, the latter half of the 19th century, when the day was operating, all the columns, we went down to the Jaboom Club and we asked this guy what he thought about this plan for a new buoy or something like that. And they were always asking the mariners, who would hang out, what they thought about things. And we get that at Jaboom. Joseph Mako, the guy who's standing there, was a ship's pilot all over the world, and he brought the largest of the cruise ships ever. When it had to come into New London, he piloted that ship. But he's been giving us sort of like behind the scenes updates about the Baltimore Bridge, where a ship kind
Oh,
of
right.
drifted right into it. It was closed down. So he was on that, and we had several jabooms about it.
Oh, wow. I had forgotten about that, but
And Greg DeBrule, well, we had one. It was somebody who's on the Security Commission who used to work over at one of the that sound company. Anyway, yeah, and he had us all terrified about the bad state of our security
Oh,
and
wow.
missile defenses and all of that. It was just, so you get really, we get, New London is full of these interesting, knowledgeable people, and many of them are retired, and they've spent their whole lives in these fields. And it's not like they retire and that's it. They know everyone, they know everything that's going on. And you get these great insights. And this captain, Greg DeBrule, he was talking about the seals and how they've ruined the business up in Cape Cod for the local fishermen and the people who stay there. And he was telling us about, oh my gosh, the first time ever, they go out for blackfish, they end up with tunas the last week. It's interesting. It's all about our maritime environment, which is so important to us. Also about the vibrations, the deep vibrations that are messing up the cetaceans and the whales. And they're not mentioned because it's all for this wind energy, but they're seeing more than ever the whales washing up on the beaches and being killed. So it's interesting. I wish the Day would interview him and do a story about that.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know if and what impact that's having. There were some opinions that, the church that came down in New London had its own structural problems, but I did hear people also questioning, was it like the vibrations or that was a contributing factor as well, that the weaknesses in the building just were stretched beyond what they could do.
And also what is New London built on, really, right?
It's all fill.
It's all fill, and like as they're finding out with the state pier, what's going to happen there?
Yeah, and you look at the old maps of New London, and we had a project come before planning and zoning, and it had It had all the old lines for where Winthrop Cove was before redevelopment.
Winthrop Cove, absolutely.
And oh my gosh, the borders, I mean, all of that whole area where Fulton Park is and the Wholesale Electric Company, they were all underwater.
That's right.
So it wasn't just Bank Street and downtown that a lot of, but also all along the shoreline,
Cove,
Shaw's Cove also.
Yeah, it's really a wonderful town to study, and it's alive. I mean, there's so much going on now.
So when you send me slides, the one that really did, this is the one, Scrimshaw Tattoo Connection, which really, kind of caught me off guard. It's like,
this was quite a night. This is quite a night. Everybody was covered with tattoos who was there. And the man who gave the talk, Richard Strema, he'd lived nearby, but he played in punk bands in New London, and he always loved New London, and he collects all this stuff, although he actually lives in Pennsylvania. And he was so, we have this new thing. It was an experiment. What do you collect? That's, if I'm at a party, sometimes I ask people that, do you collect anything? Or when they come in the museum, because it's sort of an icebreaker. And many people do. They love their collections. And so the first two, I had put out the word in our weekly blast, and nobody responded. And then I was in the shop where the docents were, and I said to Christina and to Regan, I said, do you guys have collections? Oh, yes. Well, why don't you be the first two community cabinets, community collections we have? They were thrilled. They put their stuff up. Regan had cats Her father had given her a cat when she was a teenager, and she collected them. People gave them to her. And Christina had sort of a history collection. Her parents had lived on Linman Street. They moved out, or grandparents, and all the stuff in the attic was just in boxes at her house. And she went through it all and had all these toys from the turn of the last century, like early 1900s, and local high school yearbooks from early on when there was just a technical high school. It was so different. Some people love the cats. They love the cats. They couldn't care less. Other people, they loved the local history. So they were the first two. And once they were in, all these people said they wanted to do these shows. You know, you have to have the first person take the step. And Richard wanted to do this one, and he's a musician. So he was the first to get to me. And who knew what that was going to be? But he was like, he had his label. He's a teacher. He teaches high school kids who are in pre-college classes, so he's a pretty good teacher. And he had the labels, he had everything, he had the whole story, and he had the network. And he had the, about this big, a crate, a whale keg lid, where it usually said oil or something, had a whale on it. And he had arranged, the day he got here to set up the show, he went to his most admired tattooist, and he had a whale, that exact whale put on his wrist. Not like a little whale, big, all the way around, like nose to tail. And everyone who came was covered with tattoos. And at the end I said, well, can I, you know, like, you have a collection, can I see your tattoo? Oh, shirts came off, the legs came. It was just, it was so interesting, and it was just so, it was just such a passion with all these people. And he clearly loves it. And he said, the whalers, you know, they're going around there in Indonesia or something. They get stuck there for 3 months. Of course, the native people are covered with the tattoos. So they get the tattoos done. They learn how to do it. And he has a kit in there which shows you how they did it with the needles and the dauber with the ink and the similarities between, because scrimshaw is almost attached. It's a tattoo on a piece of bone.
A bone or tusk or whatever.
Yeah. And so he's making a connection in a way I had not seen before. It's not my field, but I had never heard it tied together in that way. So we love this. And the next woman who's going to do it in January is an art student at Yale, who has some kind of tintypes or something of, we have that kids exhibit right at the museum, and she's got some tintypes of kids. That's how she sort of found us, and we'll see. Sailor suits.
Yeah, it sounds fun. So yeah, I think we have a couple more pictures of.
Okay. Yes. Well, so we have so many. We have so many programs, and we have kids of every age. We have, just like the last month, we have Mitchell. We had these high school kids. It was, you don't have that picture here, but it was kind of wild. They had all watched, what is it, Men of Honor, Cuba Goodings Jr., about the first black Navy diver. And in the end, I don't know, I'll just tell you quickly, somehow he loses his leg, but it gets mangled. And he decides to have it cut off so he can still dive. He won't have this.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's a big court scene where he has to walk in those 20-pound shoes each, because they have the lead. And all the kids had just seen this, so they all had to try on the diver shoes. It was very funny. But we always have the third graders coming in. We have we work with the colleges. We work with all kinds of groups. So it's pretty gratifying at the museum. The building is a bit of a downer right now because of we fixed the water, so the water no longer comes in. But we're working towards a new roof. But meanwhile, we're beyond where we were at COVID. You know, when COVID hit, we have so many programs. It's really, and the kids love it. And there's Winsome Bingham, who did a book called The Walk about, it was a wonderful kids book about the importance of voting. We tried. We did what we could do.
And I have one more picture of the shop
Yeah.
because, you know, it is that time of year and people are so often looking for unusual kinds of gifts.
We have a terrific shop, and we have everything to do with things maritime, fun things for kids, little whales, things related to our lighthouses, of course, and just a lot of beautiful things from all over the place, not just locally made. And we are, you know, all the money from the shop goes into our educational programs. The Lighthouse T-shirts go to the Lighthouse program. We have, it's just, it all works together. And to this day, we make more money in the shop than we do in the museum. And we have some very loyal shoppers. And we're almost out of the squeaky seagulls, I will say. We have these seagulls, and they, you know, and seals. The seals go, "Arr, arr." The seagulls do the seagull call. Kids seem to love those, but we're low on the gulls.
Now, in our last 3 minutes, can you tell people how they can get involved, how they can support what you're doing?
Well, we are really a part of the community, absolutely. And on December 7th, that's our website. It looks kind of gruesome at the top because it's about our fundraising. But if you were to scale down, there's a column with the events. That's last night's.
Oh yeah, and I put some of the upcoming events here.
Yeah, you know, last year for the first time they do tuba Christmases, and they do it, I think, in Madison, and they get like 45 tubas.
Oh my gosh!
And I don't know how
Who'd
many
have
people
thought?
are in the audience. I know, and they have a very funny stories that go along with it. But afterwards, the guy who organizes it is the teacher over at the Coast Guard Academy, and he brings a couple of his students. It's early enough in the year where the kids haven't left yet, and a couple of euphonium players, and they fill that room with just laughter and these funny renditions of, you know, well, of course, carols and seasonal songs, but they did a Judy Collins song. You know, it's always a surprise, and they're very good-natured, and they are full of jokes and just. So anyway, if anyone wanted to get a load of the Custom House and see what our community is like, you go to that. And our annual meeting is at 2:30 on the 7th. Our tubas at the museum is at 4. The New London Landmarks is doing a walking tour of Bank Street at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so it could be a real Bank Street
Festival.
History Day, yeah.
Yeah, and go to the new brewery for breakfast, or lunch maybe. And you know, it's nice. It's I do feel that things are pretty well connected with us right now, but that would be a great way to learn about us.
Now, one last thing. If someone wants to sign up to be on your e-blast list or to get, you know, find out what's going on, how do they do it?
Well, you can look at the website, and it is working again, so it's updated. And you just use my email, which is nlmaritimedirector@gmail.com, and just there's a place there where you can click on it, you know, a little further down the page, and you can. And actually, I think a little like a postcard comes up when you sign on to the website, and you can sign up directly there, or just stop by the Custom House. We have our newsletters.
Oh, yeah. What are your hours?
1 to 5, Thursday through Sunday, and on Saturdays we open at 10 o'clock. We'll probably have extended hours for the holidays, but we haven't settled on them quite yet.
Okay, we're almost there, but not quite. After Thanksgiving,
I know.
maybe
We get through
can
it.
start with that. And I do want to recommend that if you are at all interested, there is a ton of information on the website about things going on there, about resources available that we did not touch on. There's really, really a lot.
Our librarians do online exhibitions, and we had a great one. It was a whaler's journal that was given to us, and it's not dry at all. It's full of interesting stories, and it turns out it was a free black person in New London who was married to one of the Harris sisters and involved in Prudence Crandall. All these connections. We did a Citizen Scrivener transcription project during COVID, and we're going to be using that text to redo our whaling exhibit. We'd sort of given whaling to Mystic Seaport because they were so, but now we have enough, and we're going to have our own spin on it. It's going to be fabulous.
Well, thank you, Susan.
Thank
It's
you,
always
Ronna.
fun.
Yes, it is. Nice to see
And
you.
to everyone, this is, there's no better time of the year than now to visit the Custom House.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and next week, as I think I mentioned, I'm hoping to talk to people from the New London Arts Council to find out what else is going on in downtown New London that's interesting in this time of year when the nights are long and the days are short.
Yeah,
So
I want to know.
we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When the rain don't fall, that's when you know